You don't understand. I loved him. That was the last thing Lila Jordan whispered into the phone before the line went dead. The 911 dispatcher called her back 3 times. No response. 12 minutes later, Boston PD officers arrived at a small, high-end apartment on the 17th floor of a luxury complex near Back Bay. Inside, they found a man, later identified as Dr. Aaron Kale, a well-known therapist, lying face down in a pool of blood, a shattered crystal tumbler beside him. A woman stood in the center of the room, barefoot, shaking, blood on her hands. Her voice, soft and disoriented, repeated the same words. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. She was arrested on the spot. Just hours before, Lila Jordan, a 27-year-old grad student in clinical psychology, had been preparing for her weekly therapy session. No one, certainly not the doorman, the elevator tech, or her roommate, had any idea that night would end in bloodshed. But for Lila, this story didn't begin with violence. It began 6 months earlier with silence, with panic attacks in lecture halls, shaky hands over a laptop, and the collapse of everything she'd built. She was brilliant, quiet, the type of student professors admired but classmates overlooked. Her roommate, Candace, had urged her to get help after noticing how often Lila would stay up pacing, crying into a pillow. Just talk to someone, Candace had said. And eventually, she did. Enter Dr. Aaron Kale. Respected, published, clean-cut. His office smelled like cedar and bergamot. His voice, measured and melodic, was the kind that made you want to confess your whole life. Lila thought she was lucky to land him, but luck doesn't always mean safe. At first, their sessions were textbook. He asked good questions. He listened. He didn't take notes. He said it interfered with connection. By session 5, Lila was talking more than she ever had in her life. About her father, her sense of failure, her fear that maybe, deep down, she was broken. By session 10, things shifted. I think about you outside of therapy, she confessed one rainy Thursday. Not like a patient should. Aaron didn't scold her. He smiled. Softly, kindly. Transference is common, he said. But it's nothing to be ashamed of. That was the first moment Lila's heart cracked open. It's not hard to understand what came next. Admiration turned to fixation. Late-night thoughts became obsessions. A compliment about her resilience turned into heart palpitations. And Aaron? He never kissed her, never touched her, but he fed the hunger with long glances, sessions that went 20 minutes over carefully placed words like, "You're different, Lila. You're not like the others." Candace, ever watchful, started noticing changes. "You're glowing," she said one morning as Lila made coffee. "Did you meet someone?" "No," Lila lied. "Not exactly." But the truth slipped through the cracks. One night, Lila came home sobbing. She'd followed Aaron after a session, just to see where he went. She saw him in a bookstore, holding hands with another woman, laughing. Lila didn't eat for 2 days. When Candace pressed, she snapped. "You wouldn't understand. He's not just my therapist. He sees me." But what Lila didn't know, what no one did, was this. That woman at the bookstore, her name was Elena Moore. She had been Aaron Kale's patient 2 years prior, and she now lived with him. 3 days before the murder, Lila sent Aaron a message. "I know about her. You lied to me. I trusted you. Please tell me it wasn't just in my head." He didn't respond, but her Thursday appointment wasn't canceled. She went, on time, dressed in all black. Security footage shows her entering the building at 5:27 p.m. She never came out. According to the police report, there were signs of a struggle. A lamp knocked over, a picture frame cracked, broken glass across the floor. Aaron was found dead. No sign of a break-in, and the only fingerprints on the scene were Lila's. But here's where the story begins to twist. The autopsy revealed that Aaron had lorazepam in his bloodstream, a sedative strong enough to slow his breathing, cause drowsiness, and weaken his reflexes. But Aaron wasn't on any medication. Also, there were no fingerprints on the tumbler he'd been drinking from, not even his own. Later, a journalist named Mara Kincaid uncovered something no one else had noticed. A voice memo on Lila's phone. It had never been sent. but it was recorded just minutes before the attack. He said I was special, that I made him feel alive. But now I see. I was just another story for him to edit. I thought he loved me. Maybe he did. Or maybe he just knew how to make it feel like love. Mara began to dig. So did Detective Harold Simmons, a 25-year veteran with a nose for inconsistencies. The deeper they looked, the darker the trail became. Aaron Cale had a prior misconduct report filed at his old clinic in New Hampshire. The file was sealed. No charges, but whispers remained. One former patient. 3 months of silence. A sudden transfer. Lila, now in custody, refused to speak for 2 days. Then she asked for a pencil and a sheet of paper. She wrote a letter. She addressed it to Mara Kincaid. It read, "Everyone thinks I killed him because I was obsessed. But it wasn't about love. He didn't die because I couldn't have him. He died because I wasn't the first. And I was afraid I wouldn't be the last." Look up Maya Alvarez. Appointment date, August 18th. The last line was underlined twice. Detective Simmons ran the name. Maya Alvarez. Age, 29. Violinist. Chicago. And on August 18th, just 3 days from now, she had a scheduled appointment with Dr. Aaron Cale. Except Aaron Cale was already dead. So how could an appointment still be on the books? The name Maya Alvarez was like a tremor in the calm. Small at first, but growing. Detective Harold Simmons stayed at the file, the date circled in red. August 18th, 3 days after Dr. Aaron Cale's death. A standing appointment that no one had canceled. But how could that be? Cale was dead. The world believed Lila Jordan had murdered him. And yet, his calendar was full. His systems active. His assistant claimed she'd received a final directive from him just days before to keep certain sessions confidential. One of them was Maya's. Mara Kincaid boarded a red-eye flight to Chicago that night. The letter Lila had written burned in her pocket like a confession, half warning, half plea. She didn't trust the system to act fast enough. She'd seen too many victims vanish behind headlines and silence. She found Maya at a music conservatory tucked between rows of old brownstones. The woman who answered the door was not what Mara expected. Tall, elegant, eyes sharp despite the dark circles beneath them. "You know about him, don't you?" Maya said without hesitation. "You're here because of Aaron Cale." Mara's breath caught. "You've seen him?" Maya nodded. "Twice. Once in Boston, once here. He said he'd moved his practice remotely, kept a few clients for personal reasons. I was one of them." Inside Maya's apartment, the violin case lay unopened on the table. Dust had gathered on the strings. "I haven't played since he left," she said quietly. "He said it made me too emotional, too reactive. But he liked that about me. Said it made our work more honest." Then her voice cracked. "But I kept seeing his face, even in sleep. Like he never left." Detective Simmons, now in Chicago, joined Mara the next morning. When Maya shared her story in full, the truth began to take shape. Aaron wasn't just seeing patients. He was grooming them. He would call late, ask personal questions. One night, I woke up and my screen had been accessed. My journal app deleted entries, like someone edited what I'd written. Maya's voice was fragile, but steady. Then last week, I got a message on a burner email. It wasn't from him. It just said, "You're next." He did it to all of us. There was no name, but I think it was from Lila. Meanwhile, in Boston, Lila sat in her cell, rewatching the same 10-second clip Mara had shown her. Maya, speaking on stage. Confident. Brilliant. Everything Aaron had once said Lila was. "She reminded me of me," Lila said softly. Before him, Candace had come to visit. For the first time in weeks, Lila allowed herself to cry. "I wasn't crazy," she whispered. "He made me feel like I was losing my mind, like I wanted the chaos." Candace held her hand through the glass. "You were never the crazy one." Detective Simmons reopened the original Cale case. They searched his apartment again, this time with a digital forensic team. What they found changed everything. Behind a firewall, hidden within a psychology database, was an archive, voice notes, session footage, private journals from at least 5 women, all unethically recorded, all catalogued like test subjects. Lila's files were there. So were Maya's. And one more. Elena Moore, the woman in the bookstore, the one who had held his hand, lived with him. Her session notes stopped abruptly, but there were audio clips of her crying, begging him to stop. She hadn't been seen since 2 weeks before Cale's death, and no missing person report had ever been filed. They found Elena's passport and driver's license in a locked drawer in Aaron's bedroom. They never found Elena. With this new evidence, prosecutors re-evaluated Lila's charges. Her lawyer filed a motion for dismissal, arguing her act had been in self-defense, the final blow in a pattern of psychological abuse and manipulation that turned fatal. The media ran with it. Therapist turned predator, how one woman fought back. Was it murder or survival? But Lila wasn't free yet. She still had to testify. In court, she stood calm, steady, wearing a dark blouse and the same gray slacks from the night of the incident. Her voice didn't shake. "He broke me," she said, piece by piece. "He called it therapy. I called it love. But it was neither." The jury was silent. So was the judge. Mara's article dropped that night. It began. They said she was delusional, a woman scorned, a broken student who snapped. But what if Lila Jordan was the only one who saw the truth and had the courage to stop it? Maya read it aloud in her apartment, hands trembling. The next morning, she picked up her violin for the first time in 8 months and played. 3 weeks later, the court declared Lila's case closed. Insufficient evidence for murder, the judge ruled. But her life would never return to what it was. Still, there was peace in knowing she was believed, and justice, in a way, had been served. But some questions remained. What happened to Elena Moore? Were there other patients no one knew about? And who helped Aaron keep his secrets hidden all this time? Because someone had known. Someone had helped him schedule Maya's appointment after he died. Someone had a hand in all of this. 2 months later, Candace received a package in the mail. No return address. Inside, a USB drive. A note. It read, "This isn't over. You only found the first chapter." Candace's hand shook as she plugged it into her laptop. A folder opened. Dozens of names, dates, and voice recordings. Lila wasn't the only one. Not even close. To the viewers watching this story unfold, if you or someone you know is struggling with abuse, manipulation, or trauma, please seek help. No one is alone. If you found this story compelling, please like, share, and subscribe for more gripping crime stories that uncover the hidden truths. Comment below your thoughts. Did you expect this twist? Have you heard similar stories? Your voice matters. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Stay vigilant.